The Hustleshare podcast is sponsored by OneCFO, the Philippines' leading fractional CFO services provider for startups, scale-ups, and SMEs. Experience the power of tech-enabled, efficient, affordable, and expert-led fractional CFO services. Let OneCFO handle your finances so you can focus on growing your business. Book your free CFO consultation today.
When we started the company, it was to build software.
Wow.
What kind of software, I didn't know. I only know B-based programming back then.
Right.
So I guess along those lines. Nothing deep like C++ or assembly language kind of programming. None of that. So it was just purely, very English-like coding programming language. So,
Right.
Welcome to Hustleshare, the podcast that features the daily grinds of unique hustlers around the world to show not our differences, but that our hustles are very much alike. Now here's your host, Ronster Baetiong.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Hustleshare podcast. We are so excited, man. I've been doing this for 6 years. But before we start, I want to apologize. I have sipon as we are doing this. So if I zoom out, if I hear unnecessary crackles in my voice, my bad. I've been nursing a sipon for the past couple of days. I'm on my way to recovery, but some remnants are still there. But today is a very special day because, like what I said, I've been doing this for the past 6 years, and this anniversary season, I don't want to go all in on just one episode to highlight, a great entrepreneur. It's gonna be our anniversary season, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we give you amazing episodes that we have lined up. But today, I'm sure that's going to be amazing because our guest for today, I've been trying to get this guy for a long time. We had a couple of false starts during the pandemic, but I put a premium in immortalizing the greatness of OGs. OGs who have done startups, we don't even call it startups before it was popular, and have literally created tech powerhouses and businesses from the ground up. And today is one of them. Been hard to catch this guy, but I'm glad we are here. And just so happens that it is our 6th anniversary episode. So before we get carried away, let's welcome to the show, Mr. Jerry Tieng of OneWorkforce. Woo-hoo! Jerry, finally we're here.
Yeah, sorry, that took a while, and sorry I kept pushing, but I think everything has the right time.
Perfect.
And I see on your 6th anniversary. Congratulations.
That's amazing. So again, thanks very much, and thank you to Dick Chang, Ninong Dick Chang, for reconnecting us during Christmas and putting us in the Dragon Pay limited edition of friends that get invites during the Christmas dinner.
I hope
what an elite group
here.
for sure. So again, Jerry, thanks very much for having the time to join us today. But before I get carried away, I've been asking this for the past 6 years. I need to ask you the $1 million question. Jerry, what's your hustle?
I build software systems and software systems that changes how people work, basically. In the past, it's just automation, but these days, the press, we call it digital transformation.
No, that's amazing. And, you're a lot of the OGs. One of the common denominator that I see is you guys are tinkerers and geeks by default, right? Just Joji, engineer by default. Dick, an engineer by default. Alan Tan, another engineer by default. Jay Fajardo, another, like all of the OGs are builders and tinkerers by default. And the way they do it is obviously either through software, through hardware, or a mix of both. That's the core foundation. And what I love about you guys is that you found a way to make this work when VC wasn't even, there was nothing per se to play around with. So the mindset from the get-go is to make a real business out of it. And to create that. But before I talk about how you got here, I remember specifically during the pandemic, we were in a talk, and that's why I invited you over, of how interesting your origin story was. And that's what we're going to be sharing in this episode. But before I get carried away again, I need you to buckle up real quick. Because if you think you're the only one who's tinkering here, I also have a hardware here and amazing technology. Because we're going to have to ride the Hustleshare time machine. It's the Millennium Falcon. There you go. Okay, because when we do ride that, that means we go all the way back. So, Jerry, I want to understand a couple things. First off, what was growing up like, and what do you remember as the first exposure to hustling that you recall?
All right. Well, before hustling, I recall my mom was a very supportive mom. There was one time when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
He basically got all of us siblings and my cousins, like all 8 of us, into a calesa. I grew up in Binondo, so they.
You're a Binondo OG! Wow.
Yes. When there were calesas all over, everywhere in Binondo at that time, and so she goes, "Let's go watch a movie." Like, what movie?
Okay.
And so we rode this calesa, like 20 minutes, and we found ourselves in what was called Avenida or Recto back then.
Right. Isitan.
And it was a science fiction movie. It was Star Wars.
Oh my God.
I was 9 years old. I don't read the news. I don't have anything. I didn't know Star Wars existed, but for some reason, my mom thought anything science fiction would teach me a lot of things, would make me modern, futuristic, techie. Those terms did not exist then, but she said, okay, that looks like a...
Is this A New Hope?
No, that's Star Wars #1, 1979, man. I'm ancient.
Wow. 1979, technically episode 4, technically, right?
That's correct. Episode 4. That would have been episode 4. Yeah.
Right.
So loaded up the Calesa and we watch Star Wars.
Okay.
Wow. So I'm not a Trekkie, obviously, my first sci-fi movie, Star Wars. So that left quite an impression. And I think that from that time on, I always knew that I'd be an engineer. I wanted to build things. And what came after Star Wars, of course, was the 5-day robot anime from Monday to Friday. And of course, Voltes 5 was my favorite.
Mazinger Z. Ayan, those
Mazinger Z Wednesdays.
There you go.
There's Mekanda, Daimos, Mazinger Z, Grandizer, and of course, Voltes 5.
I love it.
And Voltes 5 was so special. My mom allowed me to finish my afternoon tutoring early every Friday because it always ends at 4:30 to 6:30, 2 hours of tutor, right? But every Friday it ends at 6 because he's allowing me to watch Voltes 5.
I love it.
So how much my mom loves me. Yeah.
No, not just that, but you found your calling very early on, where your heart belonged. I love it.
That's correct. Because in my slum book, I'm sorry, all these terms that people do not know. It says there. What there's a question. What do you want to do when you grow up, right? So it says there, I want to build robots.
Wow. Now it makes sense.
Yeah. And then I also said, I think I wanted to be a millionaire by 26. Yes.
Wow.
Those were the 2 things I wrote down in a stupid young age. But
the fact that you remember it says a lot. I don't remember shit that I posted. I remember wanting to be an astronaut. What the hell is an astronaut now for me? But again, super duper interesting. And I love that you started off with that because now there's a theme. You've always been a thinker, and I don't think that ever changed. That's your love for technology, your love for sci-fi turning into reality always held true. But now I want to understand the exposure side of it. The hustling part, because obviously you were tutored, you had the thing, and again, shout out. Did you study also in Uno?
That is correct. I studied high school in Uno High School. That's in downtown. That's one of the 5 Chinese schools in downtown Binondo. And after that, I went on to an engineering degree. Yeah.
Okay, wait. I just want to share my love for Uno High School because back in high school, I used to play varsity basketball for the UST Tiger Cubs, right? And sometimes during off season, during prep work for the UAP, we will play some of the Chinese schools, and we will go Dayo to Uno High School at the very top of the building, It's
Yeah,
very,
there's a
very, yeah.
auditorium.
And then, man, you guys had shooters. I remember one of my friends. He eventually ended up in UST for college. Andre Tanlo was his name. But what I
Mm.
remember profoundly about Uno is that I don't even remember any other school doing this. But after the game, they will feed you Jollibee.
They
Whether you
will.
won or they will feed you Jollibee as a
Oh,
disc
Jollibee.
player.
Okay. Wow.
There's
Okay.
food. I'm like, whoa.
Okay. All
I love this
right.
school. Whether you lost or won, there is food. Like who does that?
Who
Even
does that?
Ateneo doesn't even do that. LaSalle doesn't do that, right? Like only Uno does that. I love it.
Wow. Wow.
It says a lot about that. But I want to now understand the hustling part. Who were you exposed to hustling? Because I remember you talking about your dad a lot during the first time we met, especially when you talked about your origin story.
That's right. Yeah. Well, my dad is the original tinkerer. My dad didn't go to college. So he's from that
Wow.
generation that after high school is done.
Mhm.
So he was a serial entrepreneur.
Okay.
And one of the earliest work that he did was he had a car shop. He was
Ooh.
basically a tinkerer, a real
Okay.
tinkerer, because he deals with alternators, with engines. So in my area, in our neighborhood, anybody whose car breaks down goes to him. So he'll fix
Yeah.
out. But he's not a trained mechanical engineer. He's not a trained automotive engineer. He's not trained anything. He just loves to tinker and he gets it fixed. You know,
Right. Right.
so he's a thinker, and growing up, I watched him do that. Getting hands dirty. Today these are movies, diba? The white, the blank guy who tinkers with his Mustang. Okay, so that was
Yes.
my dad. Also, he tinkers. He fixes cars.
Uh-huh.
He fixes cars, fixes trucks. I learned that from him. And then eventually, he set up a small commercial printing business.
Ooh.
So I was working summers and weekends at the printing press, doing bundling, doing
Wow.
quotations, helping fix the machines, helping clean the machines. So basically, I was working for him in a printing press in a very traditional business. And then when the desktop publishing was born,
Mhm.
I introduced desktop publishing to the printing press by doing
Wow.
layouts and design, printing out plates and whatnot. So I think that was how I got started learning about work.
Mhm.
And then I think I was also I read a lot. And one of the most memorable things that I've read, or two books, I think, that got me off started to hustling, the book Type Man by James Clavell.
Yep.
And there's another book about the Zaibatsus of Japan.
Oh.
Okay. And then there's a lot, actually. There's the autobiography of Akio Morita of Sony, the founder of Sony. So
Right.
those things that inspired me, companies or founders, engineers, thinkers, who just basically they all started from their garages,
Right.
right, after World War II and whatnot, and formed big companies out of it. And
Right.
that got me inspired that, okay, if I just tinker enough every day, I can actually build a company. Okay, well, these books say so.
Right. That's amazing. And those are great role models. Because as entrepreneurs, that's actually the cheat code. The
Mm.
sooner you can find a role model, again, that came for me. That my role model was a lot of things, but in my head, easily the biggest role model that helped me get here, the hustling part, I saw that from my mom. I didn't learn that through teaching. I saw her do it. So just
Mm.
came in, daily grind, no complaints, just fucking get things done. The
Mhm.
CPAG hard part of it. Like
Mhm.
there's gonna be a lot of people. There's gonna be smarter than you. There's gonna be a lot of people who will have more resources than you. But the one thing
Mhm.
that you can control every day is the amount of vigor and gusto that you have in the day to
That's right.
day grind. And I learned that. And of course, Joji Azrin, shout out in
Yes.
heaven. That's like the role model that I've always wanted to
George.
emulate. But
Mm.
your father and all these authors or these books was obviously a role model as well. But I want to understand, what were those? Obviously, again, you got to learn by tinkering. You just had to just follow and whatnot, and understanding the Chinoy upbringing. You're forced to participate in the business by hook or by crook. But
That's right.
I wanna simmer this down to what were those, in hindsight, what were those things that you learned from your father the most that you still see yourself doing now?
My father is a do it first and think about it later kind of guy. Shoot
Very
first and
startup.
ask questions later. Yeah.
Mm,
He just, jumps headlong into it and figure it out. Because I guess looking back, my dad is not formally trained. So
right.
he's not does not have a lot of concepts or theories to work on. He just basically does it, just do it. No.
Mhm.
And I guess that still drives me today, that way of working, even though, of course, at my age, that's not really, a smart move after all.
Uh-huh.
But I see a lot of that in how I make decisions.
I love it. It's shoot, fire, aim. That's it.
Yes, that's right. Or
Uh,
jump first and build your parachute or airplane on your way down. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. That's very startup. So after that, you mentioned that you then took engineering in college, and I want to
That,
understand
that
how
is
that
correct.
then went.
That is correct. I took up ECE, and
Ooh,
thinking that that's the course to help me build robots. Because remember, I said I want to build robots. So that's the
in the
course I
slam
took.
book. Uh,
In the slam book, yeah. So I said, okay, easy is the thing because it has electronics and it has engineering in it. But
uh-huh.
little did I know that at that time, easy is really about your career will be about in broadcast, no, in telecoms, no,
Yeah.
not really building robots and stuff.
Yep.
So I think I kind of checked out by year 2 or year 3. I wasn't listening anymore. I was just going in class in order to get my degree, but I
Yep.
wasn't.
Yep.
I totally checked out. Yeah,
Well,
totally
where
checked
was
out.
your brain spacing out to then at that point?
At that time, I already decided that after college, I would start my own company. I would not
Wow.
work for anyone. I will not kiss ass. And I said, succeed or fail, it will be in my own hands. It's not going to be
Wow.
anyone but myself. So during college, I decided that already. And I think that's why I enrolled in UST, basically, because UST was the only school with a block schedule from 7 to 12. By 12, you're gone, you're done. So there you go.
Automation too.
LaSalle has a schedule all over the place, Ateneo has schedule all over the place. I said, okay,
Yes.
I go to UST because I decided then that after 12, after noon, after lunch, after classes, I'd go to work. So I applied for jobs. Well, first it was selling services, selling my dad's company, selling our services for printing.
Mhm.
I did that for a couple of years, going around Divisoria, going around offices in Makati. And back then, our focus was in tags for the fashion industry. So, but back then, there was still a
Ooh.
very healthy local fashion industry in jeans and clothing and whatnot. So, we're selling a lot of those tags and packaging materials. But I got tired of that. And so I went on, I think, to a commodities trading company. I thought it was, when you're young and stupid, you want easy money. And I saw a lot of, unpleasant things there. So I left. And ultimately, I settled down in a computer company that a fellow high school classmate founded. So he was also in school in LaSalle,
Uh-huh.
but he founded his own computer company. And I was his first employee. So
Wow.
we were both in college, but I was employee, he was employer, and so I was doing computer assembly, I was selling, I was delivering, I was setting up networks and whatnot. So I did that for about nearly 3 years
What?
until I graduated. Yeah, so it was afternoons. I was working afternoons and Saturdays
You
full
know what?
time.
That setup. I never really fully understood it because I also worked very early in my college life. After first year college, I studied in UST high school and college. I ended up in
Mm.
commerce. But you're right. The way we go to school, even in my time, I went to college 2006 to 2010. There's three shifts of commerce students: AM,
Mm.
mid, PM. Right?
Mhm, mhm.
I don't like AM. This the AM just I don't like waking up. I come from QC. Good luck going to come to thing. But that 4 hours of just Monday to Saturday though allowed you to do a lot of stuff. So in my first year, the reason why I learned how to speak like this, I was a full-time call center agent. So I
Oh.
worked 10 to 7 p.m., slept
Mm.
for a couple hours, go to school around 11 to 3, and
Mm.
then do the cycle all over again. Right.
Okay. All right.
But then when I took entrepreneurship, as my course after I put up guestlist.ph or party file, I had all the time in the world to literally also create my business because my school only starts at 3 to 7. So
Mm.
a lot of time really. And I remember being looked at as a outlier or a weirdo because a lot of my friends were gonna chill outside, inom, Dota. I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're missing out. I'm getting a head start here because I'm already hustling. By the time you go out, you're a rookie. I'm already a vet by that time. And did you experience that? Because a lot of these early epiphanies that you do, those extra hours that you felt uncool, you don't get to do normal student stuff, basically set you on for a lot of these things that when you're ready, and especially if you wanted to be an entrepreneur, that experience while still in school pays so much dividends.
It is true. I also missed out on all that partying, alcohol,
Wow.
girls, I guess, fast cars. I totally missed out on all that. I was working. I was trying to prepare myself to start my company right after school.
That's
Looking back,
amazing.
I don't know if that was a good call or not, but definitely I missed out. Yeah.
No, but the head start definitely helps. But I want to understand now, Jerry. So after these two things, did you really start the company after college? And what was it?
Yes. So it was, I graduated in March of
Uh,
91.
okay.
And I started or registered my company by on May 96 in May 1991. So 3 months later, 3 months after
Okay.
graduation.
What did you guys do?
The company, that same company I started till now is still my company. It's Titanium Technologies.
Wow. So
Yeah.
there, that's
So
the
I've been
OG
running
part. Imagine.
35, 35 years.
Sorry,
And
I don't want to date you. I'm 36. So
I'm probably the oldest guest you have in your
no, no,
podcast.
no. I've had OG guys here too. But okay, Titanium Technologies. You had a couple of years of experience working under your dad, working as a first employee with your friend, but going 0 to 1 as a first time founder, it's never easy. I don't care how much experience you have outside in corporate, whatever. 0 to 1 founders, first time founders, it will always be the most painful. So, what did you try to build before, and what was technology like in 91?
Okay, so I learned programming when I was 13. Thanks to my mom again. He pushed me to
Wow.
corner cars. He wanted to keep me busy and out of trouble, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And so right off the bat, when we started the company, it was to build software. But what type
Wow.
of software, I didn't know. I only know V-based programming back then. So
Right.
I guess along those lines,
Uh-huh.
nothing deep like C++ or
Mm.
assembly language kind of programming. None of that. So it was just purely, very English-like coding programming language.
Right.
And so, how did I get my first client? Basically, again, my mom. Thanks, mom.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in this Chinese party in a Laureate. So there was this big table with 12
Set up.
guests.
Now I'm
And
hungry. I
syempre si
want
Mama,
buchi.
diba? Si Mama oversell. Oh, my
Uh-huh.
son is the best computer guy in the world. In that world, that's being Binondo, most likely. Yeah. And so it happened that this guy who was sitting next to us, he owns a shop that sells bearings for machines, bearings for cars. And
Mm.
I said, yeah, I wanted to automate, or in that time it's called computerize. I want to computerize
Computerized, man. I haven't heard that in a long time.
they computerize. Okay, so we want to computerize our operations. Can you help me? I said,
Uh-huh.
sure. I can build a software for you. I haven't built one, yeah. And basically, what we ended up with was a software that takes sales orders,
Okay.
generates sales invoices, keep
Wow.
tracks of inventory, keeps tracks of receivables, and keep track of checks because naganap yung PDC checks in Binondo, no? So when you pay,
Correct.
it's dated checks, right?
Mm.
So we created that custom software for them,
Yeah.
and basically I was the only guy who did this. I guess today it's called business analysis requirements analysis, database architecture, software design, then you do the coding, then you do the QA. And then we also sold them and assembled them the hardware. So we set up a server that's novel netware, set up the workstation, install the cards, lay down the cabling. So I guess today it's called turnkey solutions, turnkey solutions, end-to-end, full automation. I guess today it's also called transformation. So basically from invoicing to fully automated invoicing and tracking. So today it's called an ERP system, but we just call it customized accounting software, basically. And, they used that software for nearly 30 years. What? They were still calling me when everything is obsolete already, as late as I think 6-7 years ago. They're still calling me. SAP was there already running in parallel, but they just couldn't let go of my DOS-based software, because they never outgrew it. It was just working exactly the way they're used to, they want to. And there was nothing to replace.
Amazing.
They had to replace it only because I couldn't good support anymore. I said, for God's sake, please let go of my software already.
But last question before we take our first break. That's such an amazing story. But again, this just also goes to show how much work you put in, because building software back then isn't built. You don't have YouTube University. You don't have, Stack Overflow. Especially now, you don't have a Copilot in ChatGPT where it can help you code. This is all
you
self-learning. Exactly.
You read books this thick.
Yep.
And not only programming books, I had to read accounting books. I had to read this and that. And then, most importantly, there's a lot of time in the field. Because today, I just Google research and whatnot. But there was a lot of time in the field interviewing users, how they do things, looking at their paperwork, their workflow, really understanding the business. And I think that growing up in Binondo with business people helped me with that, because I automatically have a business person's view of things while trying to build the system.
Exactly. You're ready to tap your network. All right, let's take your first break. And when we come back, we will continue the story. This is just the first software. And if this has been around the past 35 plus years, this has been, again, a crazy, crazy, amazing story. And we'll be talking about that a lot. But let's talk about that more after the break. Hey, hustlers, are you a busy entrepreneur juggling a ton of tasks while trying to keep your finances in check? Thinking of raising money from investors or lenders but have no idea how to start? Well, you are not alone. Managing business finances is tough. But don't worry, I got something for you. Introducing OneCFO, the leading fractional CFO service and technology provider for SMEs, startups, and scale-ups in the Philippines. Whether you need help with financial management, fundraising strategy, or scaling up operations, their team of top-tier CFOs and their game-changing CFO tech platform have got you covered. And they're legit, because I've heard about them from a lot of YC startups actually that got founded in the Philippines, because they've helped a ton of VC-backed startups, scale-ups, and some of the best SMEs in the country reach new heights. OneCFO is your strategic financial partner, providing the insights, guidance, and the tools you need to make smarter decisions and drive growth. Plus, they offer personalized support tailored to what your business needs, no matter the size. And what's the best part? It won't break the bank. OneCFO services are affordable and accessible to businesses of all sizes. So if you're ready to level up your business and finances, what are you waiting for? Schedule a free CFO consultation with OneCFO. Visit onecfoph.co today. That's onecfoph.co today to get your free CFO consultation. And we're back from the break. We are still with Jerry Tieng, who then told us the amazing origin story. And I love it because the OGs talaga, there's a common denominator. You guys are thinkers. You were ahead of your time in self-learning. You had to learn the hard way. There wasn't any cheat code. Good old blood, sweat, and tears. And that's
literally
what set this whole industry on its heels. I mean, on the foundation, because a lot of when I got into the industry, 2011, 2010. This is how the stark difference is now in startup conferences. Back then, when I come in, I would say at least 60 to 70% of what in a startup ecosystem would look like are devs, builders, crazy ass ideas. but
Yeah.
they know they can build it. Now in 2024, 2025, I look at it, 10% devs. So th- that imbalance is very, very stark. And there's a lot of business bullshit sometimes that goes around where shit, can you even build that? Are you even gonna build that the right way? Will it scale? And what will it cost you to build it? And I'm super grateful that I got to meet people like you early on who shit didn't need the bullshit now or didn't need to drink the Kool-Aid because you like what you said, you just got it done. So that's amazing. And this industry was built on guys like Jerry, where they had to create businesses, software businesses. It wasn't even called startups that were built to become businesses, not a venture business. So you have to go 100x. Because if there's the one thing that amazes me about Jerry's business, again, we're just starting. We'll wait till his next stories. It's been around for the past 35 years. Most startups don't make it past year 3, so it's built to last. So that's what I love about what you built. So, Jerry, after the first one, again, I want to actually ask Muna, how much did you charge in your first client? And then did that even scale, or did you give
I
them
think
the first client
I think
discount?
that software that they use for
30 years?
nearly 30 years is not even enough to pay a senior dev 1 month salary today.
Wow.
Pare
Wow.
sulit, pare sulit,
Wow.
sulit. Sulit. It
Yeah.
was probably 250K or something. And yeah.
Yeah.
The revenue today is probably in the billions, but
No, but at least, diba? I mean, that kept you anchored with a solid client and that never left. And that's actually what's the most gratifying when you see clients like that never left you.
that's right. That's right. And growing up in Binondo, being, Chinese and all, reputation and connections is important. So one
Yes.
client begets more clients. So I didn't know marketing, right? I'm an engineer, so I don't know marketing. I don't know PR. I don't know, writing press releases. So it's basically just building, taking care of your clients, and then through word of mouth, we get thankfully more clients.
Is that how you got the next few clients after that?
Yes, it has always been word of mouth, word of mouth, word
Galing.
of mouth, word of mouth, and basically several industries in Binondo back then. So that's hardware, that's food distribution, textile. So all the stereotypical Chinese businesses you'll find in Binondo. We've made systems for at least the top 3, top 4 players.
Wow.
In
And the business model, technically, I mean, this is pre-SaaS, but these are all on retainers to not just build but also maintain the system. Is that the
That's
typical?
correct. So when I
Mhm.
got started, those first 3, 4 years anyway, were custom built software on retainer basis, turnkey hardware, software support, all in.
Amazing. So imagine that it's we call it now MRR, monthly recurring revenue, right? And SaaS, blah
Well,
blah
back,
blah.
back then, the MRR is very small because the
Right.
the support is really just a small percentage, 5-10% only, I think, on a per
Correct.
year basis. And some customers, they don't pay even. We
Mm,
don't even have some customers who don't have a recurring service
mm,
support engagement. It's just they pay per call.
correct. So it's a per diem technically, and how that works. But one thing about MR, especially if you have retainers, that's like the holy grail now because I don't know if you remember, my second startup was Chatbot PH. That was a dev
Mm.
shop. We developed chatbots technically, right? I'm not a dev. I just know how to sell technology and how to make it useful. Then I hire the devs that need to build it. But what's really interesting about the dev shop model is yes, you can get a cash grab, and if you're lucky, you get a small retainer. But this is what
That's
I wanted to ask because this is also the curse of a dev shop. Man, they don't they well, if you fall into the wrong client, nobody nobody pays on time. How did you experience this and how did you overcome it?
um, for the most part, I think the client pays on time.
Wow, how did you do it?
Maybe I just got lucky, or maybe the stuff that I built is an accounting system, and they, accountants don't want to
Ah,
fuck me over it, right? Because it's their accounting system that I built, right? So I think that I did not have too much payment issues back then. I don't think so. Maybe my
because they
bigger
know
problem.
their liquidity also.
Yes, that's unsaid secret. So, you kind of know how much volume they're making, who their customers are.
Right?
And it's built on trust because when they do need service, and if I do go,
Uh-huh.
I basically go around their system, their data, and everything. It's literally all their secret information. So that the trust level is high. And so I guess that comes with it, the respect also to pay on a, timely manner.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Because most man, I remember during chatbot, man, I closed so many accounts, big names, but man, they're always stuck in AR. It was an
Right.
AR business. Like, man, how do I liquidate this? And then sometimes you're so unliquid that you don't have a choice to sell the invoice, and now you lose your margin.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
sayang. I don't want to keep doing that. But Jerry, I want to understand. Of course, first time founder. Lucky that you had great referrals that you were able to get.
Thanks,
But
Mom.
when you're a first time founder, nobody goes unscathed. The real time you really test that you're a founder is when you get punched in the mouth and you taste your own blood. What was the very first few challenges that you remember that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome them?
Well, at that time, we were not only building software, but we're also selling hardware. No?
Oh,
And,
which ones?
well, basically, these are computers we put together. So I'd go
Ah,
order casing, go order motherboards, RAM,
Gilmore
hard,
Gaming, technically.
put them together. But these are mostly for corporate
Ah,
use,
okay. Got
not
it.
the assemble your gaming rig
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
But it was just basic computers because at that time the Compaqs and the Toshibas and the Dells of the world were like three times more expensive. So
Correct.
regular SMEs basically just buy these knockoffs. No?
Yep.
Um, so yeah, so I think there were several such challenges. One in hardware is you order a whole bunch, 20 computers, but they don't pay on time,
Eeh,
and you have to pay your supplier, right? So you get caught.
abono.
Yeah, abono, right? No,
Yeah.
and then the other is building software, but they take too long to finish because the back and forth, the design, the rollout. You project a timeline of 3 months, then it becomes 6 months,
Oh
nine
my
months, 12
God.
months. So you've sunk in a lot of time and money, but the money is not there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically those were some of the challenges. Not super major here because I think that for the most part, things were slower back then.
Huh.
Scale was smaller back then. What I gave up really was a lot of my time as a person, the time of my youth, basically. Today, diba, the timelines are much shorter, diba? You have
Right,
2
right,
years,
right.
5 years. I think looking back, I had 30 years, basically. I had 20 years, I had 10 years. That in today's measure, in any measure today, you don't do anything 10 years. You don't plan anything 10 years, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's looking back, I may not have big seismic kind of events that happened that impacted me, but I think I paid through it over time, a long time,
Right.
long,
But
long.
those are the sacrifices you have to take. But again, so time. Describe to me like what were the typical episode, typical work day or work week was like, and then because again in your 20s, a lot of people, there's several tropes that people see that either you go YOLO and then carpe, say la vie carpe diem and whatnot, and then you pay for it in your 30s because you have to have catch up, you have to mature. If you do it early, naman, yes, you miss out on a lot of things. If you're lucky, find some balance, you're gonna be able to do it. But I think with you, correct me if I'm wrong. You're a thinker, so you're being in your happy place anyway, right? This is what you
Yes.
like to do for fun.
I was just hacking away, typing on my keyboard, glued to my screen. I'm
Yep.
the worst. I'm the poster child for people stuck to their screens, morning to evening, weeks, But I think the biggest, looking back, I can't remember my 30s.
Why?
When I turned 40, And I said, wow, I'm a big 4-0, right? So people celebrate 4-0. And then I tried to recall. Time went by so fast, I don't
Wow.
remember the 30s. That's what I
Holy
think.
shit.
I don't know what anything significant I did. I don't remember any big moment, no big wins. I just couldn't remember my 30s, what it was.
No, but these are small wins for sure. That basically compounding, right? It kept
That's
doing that,
correct.
set you up. But aside from you didn't remember your 30s though, was there a sigh of relief that okay, we're good now at your when you turn 40? I'm
You know
nearing
what?
that, by the way, because the reason that this is a personal question. I'm 36, turning 37 this year.
Mm,
My first exit was at 30.
mm,
And this past 6 years has been the fastest 6 years and the most grueling of my whole life.
mhm.
And when I passed 35, I'm like, fuck, I'm late 30s na.
Mm,
My back
mm.
feels different. I always have random pieces of medicine on my desk because I cannot go 100 miles per hour anymore like I used to in my 20s. But what did that feel like? So your 30s, you couldn't remember, but was there a sigh of relief or satisfaction that you also unlocked?
You know, maybe that's why you may think I'm an OG, but I consider myself not a success because I never had an exit just yet or never had a sigh of relief. Either maybe I'm not a good business person or I keep pushing the goalpost.
I think you
I
keep
keep
pushing
going
the
up
goalpost, Jerry.
in the goalpost, pare. So I think that, I reach this amount, go push, push, push. I'm never satisfied, never stopping, keep going, never sitting down to savor anything, just keep going and going. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
For me
not,
naman, yeah, what how I felt that, because again, I grew up lower middle class, single mom, only childhood household. When I sold chatbot, the bare minimum common dream that me and my mom had was all I wanted was to all we wanted was to buy a house. And luckily, again, when all stars aligned, I also put in so much work in my 20s. I started working when I was 18, full time as a call center. So it took me, 11, 12 years to get to a point where I can buy my mom a house. It was hell. Broke a lot of times, right? But when I achieved the house, which we now live in, when I'm recording this, I felt like everything is going to be a bonus. That in the end, okay, whatever happens, I'll do my darndest. I've obviously put another goalpost, but my baseline goalpost was this. I get the house, and then if I get anything more than that, actually, I'm very very vivid over what I want, right? But if I don't hit it, I wake up in the morning feeling grateful because I live in my dream for the past 6 years now. So there, I have girl of my dreams. I have a house, and that's it. But bro, I totally agree with you because I'm pretty sure you keep pushing the goalpost. And yeah, Jerry, look back at what you've done. You've done an amazing,
well,
amazing journey.
having shared what you shared, I believe that, like you, it's building my own house.
Yes.
That is if I look back, if there's anything I could kind of take, look back and be grateful that I've actually achieved something, it's designing and building my own house. And
Yep.
It's very significant because it took so long. I only
Yes.
started building my house when I was like in my mid 40s,
Wow.
right? So it took so long, but it's built to the spec and the look exactly that I wanted.
Millennium Falcon, technically.
Something will fly out, right?
Yeah.
Bring it to market. Yeah. Yeah, but looking back, if anything, building my house finally and gave me that same sense that you have, that you have a resting spot, a resting place. To anything beyond that is bonus. And this house, actually, I couldn't find a place when I travel for vacation. It's hard to find a place that is more relaxing than this house. I have to spend
Yes.
a lot more money.
Yeah.
If I go somewhere cheap, it's like, sana sa bahay na lang ako, mas masarap pa sa
Yes.
diba? So it's that kind of
The
feeling.
joy it brings, no? And I look forward to going home every single time.
Right? And
Right?
just staying home and relaxing.
Yeah. It's like a
So it's-
trophy that you live in,
yeah,
technically, right? I
that's
love right. So I
yeah,
love it. So but I want to understand several things. So of course, this is not a one-man show. We needed help. You know, you needed the Justice League, you needed the Avengers. Who helped you? And let's give them flowers along the way because it's not just a Jerry Tieng show. What were the types of people? Who were the types of people that also helped you get there as you built Titanium?
a lot, a lot. I would not have gone this far without everyone who believed and supported. Of course, there's my parents, and particularly my mom. Even though up to this day they do not understand what I do, what I they ask me, "What do you do? What is that?" They can't understand
Technician, Jerry is a technician.
software programming, but they've been there
Yeah,
always. And of course, Vilma, my wife, she's been. I've always been a dreamer.
love
Yeah,
it,
so my dreams are so far out, and but she keeps me grounded because she's a realist. She
love it.
basically looks at the cash flow. Don't look at the cash flow, man. I'm just like build, 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 go, go, go.
I
She
love
goes
it.
like,
What?
what cash flow?
What?
And the friends and family who all gave their trust to me to build software for them for their big businesses. So just simply no questions asked, no pitches, just Jerry, come do my system. All right. So those were the big supporters. And then my early employees. You
Of
know
course,
how devs are always outbidded and they jump ship from one place to
they get
another.
poached.
But I'm so lucky to have worked with devs that believes more in the mission than how much they can get paid outside. You know,
Right.
so these are the people who, without them, I couldn't build big systems, right? I mean, there's a
Right.
point where I cannot build them alone anymore, right?
Right.
So they are the people, and then a lot of customers who are early believers because I
Uh,
pivoted so many times, but there's always those one or two or three key believers in the shit that I'm spewing. In the shit that I'm spewing, they
yep.
actually believe, and by signing contracts, it's actually got us going until the product was actually created.
Right.
You know? So those are the people I'm thankful for. And of course, uh, fast forward to these last few years, a very strong senior team, who can basically run the company without me because for a time in my first decades, customers always ask, "What's your succession plan?" Like, what the heck? What's succession plan?
Same.
Invincible, man. I don't
Exactly.
smoke. I don't drink. I don't do anything
Yep.
risky.
I'll be around forever.
Be around forever, man. But obviously, much bigger companies require something more than that. I
Right.
was able to senior team, and I've never seen a senior team so dedicated, so aligned with purpose, core values.
Yeah.
I don't think I can go much further without them. Yeah, it
Amazing.
would take the courage out of me. Given all this competition, all this VC funded startup, it will just suck out your courage if without a
Right.
strong team.
Right. Now, okay, last question before we take our last break. Ken, one of the things that also for sure got you here is the biggest learnings from the biggest mistakes that you made. I want to know what were those mistakes that are so profound that it left an indelible mark that basically help you also basically fast forward your learning. Because like for me, man, I'm a PhD in making fuck ups. I swear, ask me, I've pretty much probably done it all. Pero one thing that I now know, and I'll resonate this with you earlier, reputation is the game. Go ahead, make mistakes, but don't fuck up your name. Because
Yeah.
in rare instances that, hopefully it doesn't fuck up your name, you'll still get a second chance, right? If you make a mistake, you know, take the high road, own it up, try to fix it. But if you fuck up your name, man, it's a 6 foot grave that is going to be hard to get out of. What were those mistakes that you remember, and what were the main learnings that you got there?
Looking back, um, I see most of my mistakes as learning, and I've made billions, millions of them. Those mistakes, I see them as learning. But if there's anything that I considered a mistake and I could redo,
Yeah.
to raise cash, to get cash, to shorten my development timeline.
Mm.
And so that we can go to market faster, bigger, louder, rather than just bootstrapping, building. And hence, when the startup scene got crazy in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
I was like, how do these people do this? How these young kids do this? I gotta learn. I gotta learn in reverse. I gotta learn backwards, right?
Right.
And of course, we even have more learning after this surge of things. No? But looking back, I think that I should have, more forcefully or courageously borrowed to use to a certain way other people's money if only to move faster in the market.
Oh, that's true. And I'm lucky because I'm a tweener. Actually, baliktad. I learned how to do that first, and I had to learn how to become a profitable businessman because of circumstances. Because it's such a different game. When your mindset is grow because you have shit ton of money, you don't mind about the P&L, you don't mind about the unit economics. You're just trying to grow vanity metrics. But during the past few years specifically, and this is what if you look back in my 30s, I would always put my 30s as this is when I become a true entrepreneur. Because now the game is cash flow. I know how to turn a company profitable. I know the nuts and bolts I have to play around with. I know the difficult decisions that I have to do if things got tough and whatnot as well. But I also know how to raise cash if I need to. But it's such a hard thing. I wish I had your foundational skills of how to properly run a business sprinkled with the ability to raise cash. Because if I raise cash, I know that I'm not going to squander it.
Right.
I'm not going to fuck it up because foundationally, I built the business from the core. Rather than you raise cash, you raise $1 million and that runway is only going to be, 7 months? Good luck to you. And then now you have to pivot to profitability. Not everybody makes it out. Matter of fact, Jerry, everybody now, because of the funding winter, so people say na it's over, it's not. I don't see enough deal flow coming out. So face value, the winter is still well in full effect. Everybody is striving to do what you OGs have done. Because in the whole startup ecosystem, if you look at it, the ones that are okay are those who are foundationally sound.
That's right.
And sorry to generalize, but a lot of you guys are chinoys. Because the way you were taught is the proper way to run a business.
To be really conservative when you have to,
Yeah, and I love it. Okay, now let's take our last break, and when we come back, we will pay it forward and also talk about the other products that you created, how you what you learned out of that, and of course, also talk about your new baby that you just launched and give a sneak peek to, and of course, leadership lessons along the way. But let's talk about that more after the break.
Hey hustlers, before we resume the episode, let me tell you a very quick secret. Do you guys ever wonder how we're able to consistently release episode after episode here in Hustleshare without missing a date over the past 3 years? Well, it's not just pure hustle, because I'm also running my podcast along with me running my startup full time. Now, for some of you who have listened to this podcast, you guys very well know that I created a startup that is designed to help the best podcasters in Southeast Asia to realize their full potential, which is called Podcast Network Asia. And over the past couple of years, we've achieved quite a lot in P&A, helping hundreds of podcasters create world-class episodes consistently. However, what we realize is that we are not really solving the real problem of all podcasters in the world if we're not going to productize the thing that we're very good at, which is helping podcasters solve the two main pain points of a podcaster, which is number one, nobody really likes to edit their own show, especially if you're listening to your own voice. Just like me, I cringe a lot. Having to listen to my voice for 3 to 4 hours just to release a 1-hour episode. It's no fun. And then the other thing is that most podcasters, just like me, are absolutely clueless on how to properly grow their show, which is something that we have perfected in Podcast Network Asia. So we've decided to put this all in one product that helps any podcaster in the world create world-class shows that people will love and will continuously grow. And that's why we created Podmachine. Podmachine is the most affordable podcast subscription service that helps you with your podcasting needs. We've got everything from audio production, crafting designs, and marketing and growth support. So as a podcaster, you can now just focus on the thing that matters the most, creating great content for your listeners. So if you are an existing podcaster or someone that actually wants to create their podcast now, no need to worry. You got a founder's discount by listening here on Hustleshare. So sign up now at podmachine.com. And aside from the free trial that you're going to get as a new user, I'm throwing in another one free edit as soon as you sign up for just as low as $49.99 USD a month to start creating a consistent and world-class podcast. Again, that's podmachine.com and use the code Hustleshare to get your founder discount. So if you have friends that are podcasters and if you want to have a podcast just like this, y'all know what to do. So just go and talk to you guys in Podmachine.
And we're back from the break. We are still with Jerry Tieng that told us the amazing deep dive on what we do. But again, that's just technically probably first third of the story. Because again, as long as you can build product for other people, you can eventually build your own. And I've seen several dev shop founders also do this. You know, they always say, I even remember Sim from Cebu. He said, the only reason why we created a dev shop is because we wanted to create startups on our own. And now they're doing that too. So Albert's helping out with MWell. Dave is doing Flying Tigers Express, but they've always wanted to build product on their own. Did you have to do that too, Jerry? And what were the products you built and the learnings that you learned along the way?
Well, so we started as a custom dev shop, creating software for customers. But that's simply because I don't know, how businesses are made of, how they run. Mm-hmm. But 4 years into it, we started obviously observing patterns. No, we have 100 custom apps out there, but they're all starting to look the same. They may not ask for the same features at the same time, but 3-4 years later, they'll end up all with the same function set. And they say, why don't I just combine all these features together and create my own product? And that started the journey as a product person. No, so rather than as a service person, developing custom applications, so became a product person. But it was not called product person then. I was just simply calling it off-the-shelf product, off-the-shelf accounting software. No, so I guess it's an early form of QuickBooks, an early form of Xero, early form of Odoo. So we called it Titanium Commerce. And Titanium Commerce was Windows-based software that does basically what the DOS software does, accounting, receivables, payables, general ledger, everything. So it's basically ERP system, accounting's complete ERP system for trading companies and light manufacturing companies. Yeah.
Wow.
So we did that, converted into a product. And then at that time, so we were selling quite a lot of them, but every month we would have to start at zero. I said, if I have sale next month, you have to find a new customer.
Correct.
So I go, every month I have to start at zero. So that's so hard. And I said that we need something that allows or creates recurring revenue.
Yeah, MRR.
And so that was around 1999. And I think that was the tail end of the financial crisis.
Yep.
And I wrote our first browser-based accounting system. All right. So we launched it in year 2000. And I remember that there was not enough tools. And I wrote the cloud system using Fox Pro. Fox Pro is a database programming language. And We hand coded how it connects to sockets and to a browser and how to give back a screen, how
That's
to
intense.
so it's
Wow.
totally hand coded browser software because that's all the tool that I know how to deal with databases.
Uh-huh.
And that was the tool that is available to create what essentially today is called web apps. No?
Right.
And even at that time, I was not thinking of MRRs, ARRs. I was just thinking, I need recurring revenue, otherwise I will not survive.
Yes.
I need money to continue coming in. It cannot be a one-shot deal. It's so tiring to sell, and then next month I begin with zero again, and then I have to
Right.
keep pushing the needle, right?
Right.
So when we launched it, it failed.
Ooh.
The accounting system on the cloud that we call it today, accounting system failed because none of my Chinese clients wants their data out of their walled garden.
On-prem. They want
For
on-prem.
obvious reasons,
Yeah.
what do you mean my data is what in your servers? Where are your servers? No,
Right.
we got our data here inside our walls, within our walls, right? So that failed. That failed totally because I misread the market. I thought that as long as I know how to write software, I could convince them to, transfer paradigms as we call it today,
Got
right?
it.
But luckily, at that time, there was this movement among multinationals to outsource non-core businesses. And one of them is
Ah,
payroll. So they said, now,
nice.
why are we building an HR team with 30 people? We're in the pharma business. So outsource. Diba? Today so standard. Everything is outsourced.
Right.
Everything
Right.
is shared services. But back then, in the early 2000s, multinationals were fully built up. HR was 20 strong, So one of the push was to outsource payroll. One of them was to outsource payroll. And luckily, when we offered our solution, they couldn't care what it's made of, how it's done, as long as you do payroll for me, Jerry. Okay.
Ah,
So for them, it was not SaaS, it was not web. For them, it was I outsource payroll to you, Jerry. You take care of it. Okay, you want to give me a screen where I can download reports or I can encode entries. Well, all well and good. And so that got our start in the SaaS business. It's not called even SaaS then.
right.
The word cloud wasn't coined then. That
Yep.
was 2001 when we launched ePayroll. That was our first
Ah,
successful application that's still running up to date. We still have a significant amount or number of customers on that platform that we launched. Wow,
galing.
25 years
Galing.
ago.
Just again, that just also goes to show how you got the product to work solving the real problems of customers early on. Because if they didn't really see value, they wouldn't stay for 25 years as if you're gonna retain them, right? Because it's so, especially now, there's so many newcomers and that want to get that business out from you. And they're noisy. They're like, hey, this is us, blah blah blah. But you kept them, and they stayed loyal, not because they like you. It's because it works, right?
It works, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but how did the product evolve, or was it? And how did that evolve and tailor fit into the growing problems of a customer as they grew their business?
Well, initially it was automation. So we
Right.
automated a lot of the payroll aspect. And then when we introduced e-payroll, we push self-service because before the
Ah,
web, there's no way for an employee to interact with the payroll system, right? Everything
right.
is through paper forms. The payroll processor, the payroll person,
Bandy clocks.
and the payroll person operates the software. Sa kanya yun, di ba? You cannot use a payroll software.
Right.
But it was when we put it on the web to a browser, we were able to push self-service, and now everyone in the company were filing their OT forms, they're
Leaves.
filing their leaves, looking at their payslip. So that was the main paradigm shift that allowed us to build a new business out of nothing with recurring revenue. People were convinced with, okay, your biometrics is integrated, it's on the cloud, IT doesn't have to deal with it, data is confidential, IT doesn't see it, and all my employees can use it, and we can do online approval. So it was a big thing back in 2001, and the customers loved it because
I
we
love it.
changed them paperless.
And if this still been around for the past 25 years, there's obviously a cash cow and a core product that you guys have built. But other than that, what did you also build others? Because I remember this is when I first. There's a moment when I profoundly remember meeting you first in person, and it's not even here in the Philippines. It was in Rice in Hong Kong. You were a volunteer. It's like, oh, Ray, Jerry, you're here. What's up? Okay, and then you was, yeah, I'm a volunteer. So, I like what you guys did there. They didn't have to pay the ticket, right?
Right.
It's so expensive.
It was me and my dad team. We volunteered to be we volunteered to be support people in order to be in Rice.
No, galing. It's like, dude, that shit is expensive, right? And everything in Hong Kong is expensive, right? So, but that was what I remember. But when I remember meeting you, you already have several products, Blitz, and all these other things. But other than that, after this payroll, easy payroll, what else did you build?
Well, we built a logistics platform. That combined that transformed the industry back then. Before Shopee, before Lazada pumped a lot of money into the e-commerce space. So that was back in 2017. There were still a lot of small SME couriers who were doing deliveries with paper waybills. No, so they have their customers fill up the waybill and then they stuck it in the parcel and then they will deliver it. So the pain point we solved then was, since it's a paper waybill and the delivery is next day, head office does not have visibility on where the parcels are because there was just not enough time to put them in a system, diba? Kasi paper natin. So lagay mo lang, bukas deliver mo na. So they just bring it back to the office to have it sorted and then they dispatch it out the next day. So we launched Blitz Delivery with a platform that is digital from day one.
Yellow logo. Ayan, yellow black logo. Yeah.
The customers were not given waybills. They were looking for it. Where's my waybill? We forced them to make bookings online. So that the booking is in the system immediately and we can track it. No? And then we introduced a lot of concepts like digital wallet. Because back in the day, people were paying cash to the riders, to the delivery guys, but sometimes they pocket it. No, so head office doesn't know because it's all paper. So we introduced a digital wallet so that everything's end-to-end paper, including, of course, up to routing, dispatching, monitoring, and whatnot. Yeah. And aside from Blitz, we also built a ticketing system. At that time, Philippine Airlines decided to go into the ferry business. So they wanted to ship tourists from Calibo to Caticlan. So they fly them in from different countries in a big airport in Calibo and then put them on the ferry directly to Caticlan because at that time, Caticlan does not accommodate big wide-bodied aircrafts, only the smaller ones. So they fly in tourists from Korea, then ship them in directly. So they built a pier, they bought 2 brand new boats, and we built a ticketing system for them. A whole ticketing system that, in one sentence, kulang na lang aeroplano, I can launch an airline already. So it's an airline system. O baka may aeroplano ka dyan, Ronster.
Tano lang, walang aero. Okay.
Yeah, because it's ticketing, booking, all the way up to check-in, baggage. Ganyan. It's a whole airline experience. It's a whole experience.
Wow.
But regrettably, they decided not to continue with the business, and so we shut down that system.
Yeah, there's some buses from Calibo anyway. That's what you're competing with.
Shuttles, and now they're building a new airport, so the game will change yet again. So, so there's that. And then during the pandemic, went into e-commerce big time. There's Frozen M&L selling frozen products. So we
ordered a few.
Yeah. Thank you. At that time, Blitz was operational, but they gave the government declared that only essential deliveries. So we thought that, oh no, Blitz delivery will have to shut down if deliveries are not allowed. So we got into frozen food, so that to keep both to create a new business and at the same time keep the deliveries going. And it's food anyway, so we did a lot of that. So we were doing frozen deliveries, and my most proudest accomplishment with frozen is that ice cream will get delivered to you unmelted.
I love it.
Yeah, in the heat of winter, in the heat of summer, right? In the heat of
right.
That's it. And then so that was frozen, and then that leads us to the newest system that we're launching. It says right so in my LinkedIn. It's called
There you go.
OneWorkforce.
There you go.
So it's a new system. I call it a platform ecosystem.
Oh,
Because looking back, I've been saying to myself that I've been building software for companies, and the companies are reaping the rewards for the software I built.
right.
Right, they're able to scale and grow the business. And I said I really have to build software that I can use to scale my company, no, not to scale the companies of others, right? So payroll, diba, you sell payroll, but it really helps them expand and grow their business,
Correct.
their manpower, but it does not grow your company, right?
Yeah.
So I said I have to build a software. I've been looking for the last 10 years software that I can build on as the product for your company for your own use. No? And so that's one workforce, and we're slowly coming out of stealth and launching soon. But so it's a software designed to automate an entire industry. By putting several players on it, similar to how Lazada puts buyers and sellers, how Uber puts in drivers and passengers, how Airbnb
Wow.
landowners and guests. So it's a similar system, and more details in our next episode. If you have
Yeah. There, of course, we'll, again, everyone that's been here on Hustleshare once will always have a open invite to come in, but not on Hustleshare anymore, on Founders Only. Basically, the sequel of Hustleshare. Also on this Hustleshare podcast, we typically release every other week or whenever it's available. But I want to understand, Jerry, a couple of things. So you've done all these products, and correct me if I'm wrong again, this is a lot of the products you've created are bootstrapped from the core. How does one properly create product that's fast enough, also not too fast like venture-backed startups na, throw shit to the wall, let's see what sticks. Because if everything bootstrapped and you still got to market, and what I love about every single business that you've created, or every single product that you've created, these had anchor clients. These are real startups. Because a lot of people in a startup, like startup pitching contest, man, a lot of them are like, yeah, we have product. It's like, they have customers. Wale. I'm like, huh? How? Diba? It's going to be hard. You don't have a startup. You don't have a business if nobody's paying you for it. And you also require a lot of these startups, especially 0 to 1 grassroots startups. They don't have the cheat code of, say, idea phase funding. That's few and far between now. There's only probably a select 10% of founders who get that type of check. So if you're part of the 90%, like everybody, or like I was one of them, I didn't get access to 0 to 1 funding right away. Jerry's done it several times. How do you properly do it to the point that it can actually survive as a business?
I think that looking back, my experience building custom software helped because
cheat code.
It allowed me to learn how to build products that solves real problems.
Yes.
And sometimes customers do not want to admit problems. But they will not say they have a pain point.
You have to probe it.
You have to probe. You have to understand how they work. You have to push. You have to say the right things. You have to coax it out of them. But more importantly is to create that, what they call the MVP. Diba?
Yes.
And create that MVP to roll it out and just slowly prove to the customer that it is better. It is, it solves their problems, to convince them. Because transformation is really about not digital products, diba? Transformation is about mental shifts. If a person naman are predisposed to sticking to what they're used to, what's tried and tested, so then the onus is on us to show them,
correct,
at very little risk for them, at very little effort from them, that it actually makes their lives better. So that's, I think, where perhaps I can say that I'm good at. No?
Nice.
And slowly you keep adding more customers, and you get continuously validated, and then bam, you all in. And that's where, I guess, lessons from the startup community, that's when you raise your cash, and then, to amplify the growth.
And again, I love your story, Jerry, because it's a story of what we always say it is in in the startup ecosystem. This is not a sprint; it's a marathon.
Yeah.
And since
True.
'91, you've been again pivoting, going through the ways. But the one thing constant is you're always building. You're always building to solve problems using technology, and that's what a tech startup is, right? Scale will be different, pace would be different, but at the core, that's what we do, right? But if to just sum this up before I let you go, what are the main lessons that you would probably impart to our younger generation? I feel old na rin. To the youngins, especially you who are like in their 20s or their first startup that they're about to embark and they want to replicate the amount of longevity and the success that you've had.
Um, there was one advice that stuck with me all these years. Several years ago, when I was a fellow founder, his name is Bobby. He's in the chips business.
Bobby,
So he's
okay. Shout out,
very
Bobby. Ayan.
okay. Yeah. And at that time, I received a call from a company in Malaysia,
Okay.
and I've never been to Malaysia. I have not read about Malaysia. I don't know the culture, the food, and whatnot. And they were asking us to come over and show them our payroll solution because they want us to do their payroll. And obviously,
Ooh.
being Philippine centric, I don't know nothing about Malaysian payroll. So right there and then, you don't know the country, you don't know the payroll. So why would you even go, right? So I was kind of, do I turn this down or do I go, right? So I asked Bobby, what should I do? He only said one thing, and that's the advice I'd like to share with everyone. If you don't trip, you'll never know how good you are.
I love it. I love it. So if you
So I
don't
went,
trip, what so you went and then what happened?
we won the deal. It was like 10,000 employees. We had them for like nearly a decade. It was a big project. I sent people there. I was finally able to achieve one of my dreams, which is to send my people overseas on a project. So
Galing.
they went, they lived in Malaysia, they enjoyed, they traveled, they got global exposure. So it gave me this added newfound courage that I can do anything as long as I put my
Yeah.
hand into it.
Yeah, I love it. And if you don't trip again, you'll never know how good you are. Tama ba?
Yeah,
If
how
you
good you are because can you recover? Do you know how to pivot? Do you know how to
right.
learn on the ground? Yeah. So or if you're afraid of tripping, then you'll never know how good you are.
Totally agree. And again, resonates with one of my favorite proverbs of all time. The Japanese proverb, fall down seven, stand up eight. Fall down
Nice.
7 times, stand up 8 times.
Okay.
There you go. Again, Jerry, amazing episode. Finally, we got this done. Super duper amazing. But before I
Thank
let
you.
you go, if they want to work with you, again, you're a builder. You have multiple amazing products that you can save. And of course, if you want to invite people over early to One Workforce, where do they go and how did they do that?
Oh, they just write me, Jerry@oneworkforce.net. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Thank you so much, Jerry. But before I let you go, follow us whatever podcast app you're listening to, whether Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you did say some jargon or any link that we talked about here, it's going to be the show notes on hustleshare.com. With also a big shout out to our premium supporters who help Hustleshare produce the content that we do for the past 6 years. It's not easy. This ain't cheap, but thank you for your support. We're able to immortalize amazing stories like Jerry's out here. And if you want to support, please do check out that program at premium.hustleshare.com. Again, Jerry, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. It
All
was a
right.
pleasure.
I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.